Hello, I'm Reggie Young. I'm here with Imogen from the Freedom Geek. When you're hiring for people who are looking at real estate or they're looking at something else, how do you go about kind of finding that expertise?
It's really interesting. I think there's a lot going on with this space at the moment. So I've been doing the same thing for years, and other people are doing it, which is, I run adverts all over the place. They get very high volumes of applicants, and then I put them through a series of filtering tests, including, aptitude. We various types of aptitude tests. We test like their internet speeds, their spoken and written English. We have a whole series of tests to whittle every 100 applicants down to about 10. And then those 10 come into the database that I've got. And then when I work with a client, one thing that we do within my agency is we're very, very hands-on to really help people through the experience. Because for a lot of the people that we work with, it will be their first time hiring a Filipino virtual assistant, and they have a lot of fears and nervousness around it. And they don't want us to just take their money and never speak to them again. That is something that they're nervous of. And they've heard that with my brand, we don't do that. And it's true. So they'll get, for example, 3 different Filipino virtual assistants to interview. And that whole process is coordinated by a relationship manager who is effectively a virtual assistant who works for me at the Freedom Geek. And that will just help them because, if you've never even spoken to someone in the Philippines, then to meet 3 different people online, video one, etc., is a really good start because you can start
Yeah.
to gauge their wonderful manners, their attitude, how professional they are, their English and everything. And you've got the relationship manager on your side. So if you're struggling because you've never interviewed before, that we give interview questions. That's what I mean about really hand-holding them through the process. They'll jump in, they'll help the interview all day long. They're really good at it. They'll give their feedback. They'll be able to answer any questions they're uncertain about culture or professionalism from their perspective. And that really helps clients make a informed decision on some candidates that have already been pre-screened in a way that I know you do this and other people do this. A lot of people are switched onto this pre-screening. Let's put them through rounds and let's separate who's maybe wasting my time because immediately their application is poor and I don't need to look at it anymore, to someone who's gone the extra step of like, no, I'm going to put the effort into a good application. And that's a great place to start. I think with traditional recruitment, with LinkedIn, with other things, if you just look at someone's profile and then go chasing them, that's exhausting. That's maybe not a great use of your time. And they may not be that good. They just happen to have a profile that looks good. Unless someone has someone whose opinion you respect has personally told you that person's good, you have no idea. So I do go through this, like, let's sort of summon the talent out of the dust, if you like. And we put this database and then we help people through the process and then we place them. I think at the point of placement is where things can go very wrong very quickly for a number of reasons. And I'd like to talk about that because I don't normally talk about this so specifically. And I think in this, if you're at the cutting edge of VAs and you're looking at how to stay ahead of the curve, you need to pay attention to this kind of thing. One is relationship. So what I mean by that is just the human emotion of that VA is starting maybe with the first person they've ever worked with in America or the UK. And they are quite often so excited. And for example, if you don't meet with them in some way in the first couple of weeks, that excitement's going to start to drop. They're going to feel ignored, disillusioned, maybe a little disengaged, demotivated. They came in on this really high level of, oh, this is a great new start on day one. And, work from home can be remote, it can be lonely. You've got to really watch that balance. So we make sure to sort of spend quite a bit of time with them in those first few days to make sure they know that we are there. And I encourage clients to do that because I have seen some of my clients mess up with very talented VAs because they got too busy. And I know that's why they called us. They were too busy and they didn't put that relationship up front to have that little bit of time with them. And it doesn't have to be a lot of time. Like, it can just be like 20 minutes on the first day. And that's the most exciting 20 minutes of that person's day. So, is it worth doing that as opposed to maybe disengaging and ruining the relationship? But the second thing I want to say, and this is really important, even if that person looked like an absolute rock star from all the way through the applications to the interview, they might not be. And this is where I fell into a few holes, like you've obviously had it. And what people sometimes do is they really invest like hours of training. This is my brand. These are my processes. This is everything. And they never take the time to step back and go, can you actually do the job? And I have moved to like working that out on the first or second day. I'm like, here's some tasks. Let's see your output back. And that very simple. If we show you something or we give you a scope and then can you actually do it? Honestly, I can do it within 3 days. should I be working with this person on an ongoing basis? And I know with some of my clients, they have been taking 2-3 weeks with that. And I did it myself. I found it very difficult to fire anybody when they weren't performing. It took me 2 years to fire someone once. That was not something I'm ever going to do again. So I'm like, before this relationship gets really strong, before I get too excited, before I make too many assumptions about how good they are, 'cause everything I've seen so far in the application and interview stage. And one thing to watch with interviews is some of the people who are very good at them are the gift of the gab, as we say in the UK. They can talk the talk, but can they walk the walk? Can they do the role they were hired for? Can they give you an output that you're happy with? So I think it's really important for the VA working relationship and to take the pressure off you as a business owner. You need them to do it to 80% of what you'd expect, or to the same that you would expect, or better than you. That's always interesting when a VA comes in and outperforms you on something. But that's all good news. But the bad news is when they come in, they've seen wonderful and they mess up the first task, and you want to establish that as quickly as possible. And that, with the information product world that I'm moving into, and teaching people how to onboard and assess VAs really quickly. And just because I screen them and you screen them, it doesn't mean they're perfect. It means they're better than a lot of people that would have wasted our time. But when they come into the job, there's still that little kind of process. And I think I want to bring that to the table as a little bit of a fresher perspective, maybe, than what some people are talking about at the moment.